You ever look into a woman's eyes and wonder what it'd feel like to have her entire attention without even needing to chase? What if I told you that there are psychological triggers so subtle, so effective, that when used the right way, she won't even realize you've taken control of her thoughts? This isn't about manipulation. This is about power. The kind of power that high-status men use without breaking a sweat. The kind that makes her lean in closer, hang on your words, crave your approval, while thinking she's the one in control. Yeah, this goes deep. Today, we're diving into the world of dark psychology, not the Hollywood version. The real stuff, rooted in studies, sharpened by seduction experts like Robert Greene, Ross Jeffries, Mystery, Chase Amante, and layered with techniques that the average man never learns. You're not going to hear this in some feel-good dating video. This is about influence, subtle dominance, and psychological stealth. And if you understand this, you won't need to impress women. You'll control the emotional context so completely, they'll chase you without knowing why. Stay close, because I'm about to show you how to enter her mind, reframe her reality, and make her associate you with safety, excitement, danger, lust, whatever you choose. And the best part? She'll never trace it back to you. Now let's talk about frame control. Before you even speak to a woman, she's reading your body language. She's analyzing your vibe. And here's where most guys lose. They chase the frame she sets. They play her game. And by doing that, they lose power before the first word is spoken. What you want to do instead is set the emotional context, the frame, before she even knows what's happening. In psychology, this is called pre-framing. It's the invisible lens through which she views everything you say and do. Robert Cialdini talked about this in his work on persuasion. Change the context, and you change the reaction. Let me give you an example. Two guys walk into a bar. One guy approaches a woman and starts complimenting her. He's nervous, trying to say the right thing, hoping she likes him. She feels that he's trying to win her over. He just entered her frame. Now the second guy doesn't say a word. He locks eyes with her, smirks slightly, holds that gaze a second too long, then looks away. When he finally does speak, he doesn't compliment her. He teases her, playfully, sharply. She's off balance. She's curious. And now she's the one chasing his attention. That's frame control. That's pre-framing. And that's how you start to bend the social dynamic to your will. This is the first hook of dark psychology. You don't need to impress. You need to disrupt. Disrupt her expectations. Disrupt her sense of social control. Why? Because when the brain encounters the unexpected, it becomes vulnerable, open, eager to find a pattern. And that's when you walk in and provide that pattern. You. Seduction expert Ross Jeffries called this the emotional roller coaster. It's about taking her through a controlled series of emotional shifts, up and down, highs and lows, certainty, then mystery, comfort, then challenge. The more contrast she experiences around you, the more addictive you become. Think of it like a drug. Predictability is boring, but if she doesn't know what's coming next, her dopamine spikes. She starts associating you with emotional stimulation, and once that anchor is set, she'll seek out your presence just to feel something again. That's the game behind the game. And this is where most guys get it so wrong. They think being nice or being constantly available will earn them loyalty. But what that actually triggers in her mind is safety without thrill. It's static, flat, predictable. Here's a trick pulled straight from NLP, neuro-linguistic programming. Use pattern interrupts. It's a technique to reset her mental framework and inject emotional energy. Let's say she gives you a cold or dismissive response. Instead of reacting emotionally, you lean back, smirk, and say, "That's adorable. Are you always this defensive when you're into someone?" You've just interrupted her script. She expected frustration or retreat. Instead, you flipped the energy and reframed it into flirtation. Now you have control of the narrative, and that's the seed of influence. What's happening neurologically is this. Her brain script is broken. The limbic system, the emotional center, lights up. Now she's engaged. Even if she tries to brush it off, something inside her is processing you differently. Every interaction you have should be filtered through this question. Am I leading the frame or reacting to hers? Because once you learn to set the frame, everything shifts. Even your silence becomes powerful. Even your presence becomes addictive. And that's just the first level. Up next, we're going deeper into emotional anchoring, how to plant specific emotions in her memory that she can only connect to you. But before that, let's unpack a psychological trigger that almost no one uses, yet it's one of the most potent tools in the entire seduction arsenal. I'm talking about strategic vulnerability. Yeah, you heard that right. Not the let me tell you about my feelings kind of vulnerability. I'm talking about calculated openness, the kind that makes her feel like she's the only one who's seen a side of you no one else sees. This is ripped straight from the tactics used by cult leaders, master seducers, and high-level social manipulators. When you reveal just one detail that hints at pain, danger, or complexity, but do it from a position of strength, you create an irresistible paradox. She starts thinking, he's strong, but there's something he's hiding. He seems in control, but there's depth there. And now she's invested. She wants to explore you. She wants to figure you out. At this point, she's already surrendering mental real estate. You've become a puzzle, and puzzles are addictive. All right, pause here. Let me know when you're ready for part 2, and I'll continue the next deep section with emotional anchoring, false memory planting, and how to weaponize storytelling to leave an imprint in her subconscious. So now she's intrigued. She's emotionally engaged. But intrigue isn't enough. You want permanence. You want imprint. Let's talk about emotional anchoring, a psychological strategy used in everything from high-level sales to hypnosis to long-term seduction. Here's the truth. People don't remember facts. They remember feelings. And if you can control what she feels in your presence, you control what she remembers about you. In the 1980s, psychologist John Bargh conducted priming experiments that showed how subtle triggers can influence behavior unconsciously. He made people walk slower by exposing them to words related to aging, without them realizing. Now imagine using the same concept emotionally. Let's say every time she's around you, she feels unpredictable tension, followed by laughter, followed by eye contact that lingers just a second too long. Over time, her nervous system starts linking you to those internal spikes. You're becoming an emotional drug, not because of what you say, but because of how she feels when you're around. Now here's where it gets darker. You can deliberately create emotional spikes and then drop them fast. Say something intense, something that hits, then back off. For example, you ever get the feeling that no one really knows who you are? Not even you? Silence. No smile, no follow-up. Let it hang. Let her feel it. Then break the tension with something casual. Watch how she looks at you after that. This technique is what covert hypnotists call a pattern emotion anchor sequence. You introduce a pattern, inject a feeling, and then attach yourself to the resolution. The result? She starts craving your presence, not for logical reasons, but because something inside her lights up and calms down around you. You become her internal reset button. Now let's amplify that using false memory creation. This is advanced. Most men won't touch this. But when used ethically and intelligently, it's one of the most potent mind control tactics in seduction. The idea is simple. You plant a memory that didn't happen and make her believe it's hers. The method? Guided recall. Say something like, you ever notice how sometimes you meet someone and it feels like you've known them for years? Like something about them is familiar? Then hold eye contact. Pause. She may nod, smile, or respond. Now follow with, I swear, I had that with you the second we started talking. Like, damn, I know this girl. It's weird. What you've done is suggest familiarity. Her brain wants coherence. It starts searching for that memory. And because humans are terrible at accurately remembering emotional origins, she starts building the memory around you. This isn't manipulation for its own sake. It's psychological design. You're becoming the architect of her experience. Now stack this with emotional pacing, a technique drawn from hypnotic storytelling and seduction manuals like The Art of Seduction by Robert Greene. Most guys make the mistake of rushing connection. They front-load the interaction. Too much too fast. But a man who understands dark psychology paces emotions like a slow burn. You calibrate the rhythm. High-energy banter, then silence. Sensual eye contact, then distraction. Every shift creates tension. Every pause makes her lean forward. This creates what psychologists call emotional misattribution. She starts confusing you with the emotional journey she's experiencing. Even if you didn't directly cause her excitement, her brain attaches the feeling to you. That's how obsession forms. It's not logic, it's not words. It's how her nervous system responds to your presence. Let's get even darker. Have you heard of mirroring microexpressions? This is a technique used by elite interrogators and master seducers alike. It involves subtly copying her body language, tone, even blinking rate, but doing it just below the level of conscious detection. When done right, it triggers a phenomenon called limbic resonance. Her brain starts syncing with yours. She feels connected, but she can't explain why. You don't need to be a performer, you just need to observe. Watch how she leans, how she breathes, the rhythm of her laughter. Then slowly, subtly, match it. Not perfectly, just enough to signal, I get you. The subconscious picks it up instantly. And when someone feels seen, without saying a word, they start lowering their guard. They open doors you never even knocked on. But here's the part no one talks about. Once you establish that resonance, you can start leading instead of following. You lean back, she mirrors you. You slow your voice, she matches the pace. You pause, she holds her breath. Now you're not reacting to her. She's reacting to you. You've taken control of the unconscious dynamic. And once you're there, everything else becomes easier. This is where we unlock psychological framing combined with identity projection. You stop talking to her and start speaking into her story. You say things like, "You strike me as the kind of girl who gets bored with surface-level guys." Like, "You need depth or it just dies for you, right?" Now watch what happens. Even if she didn't believe that before, she starts adopting that identity. Why? Because humans are social chameleons. They internalize identities given by those they perceive as high value or emotionally dominant. And if you are that figure in her dynamic, she'll start shaping her self-perception around your framing. Now she's not just attracted, she's evolving around you. That's not game, that's psychological architecture, and it only gets deeper from here. Let's now take a step even further into her subconscious, into the territory where beliefs are born. Because if you can shift her internal narrative, you don't just influence how she sees you, you influence how she sees herself. And that changes everything. This is where narrative hijacking comes in. Every woman has a story she tells herself. A silent script that says, "I always fall for guys who challenge me," or "I don't trust easily, but when I do, I go all in." Your job isn't to fight that narrative. It's to subtly insert yourself into it, like a shadow character that was always there. Here's how. You feed back parts of her identity as if you already know them. Say something like, "You seem like the kind of woman who doesn't open up fast, but when you do, you go deep. It's rare. Watch her eyes. She'll blink slower. Her breathing shifts. That's not coincidence. That's confirmation bias activating. Her brain starts reshaping reality to fit the frame you just gave her. What's wild is, this process is invisible. She thinks she's discovering you. But what's actually happening is, you're becoming the emotional narrator of her inner story. This isn't some pickup line trick. This is how cult leaders, master influencers, and charismatic manipulators gain such fierce loyalty. They don't argue. They guide. They don't seduce directly. They let the target seduce themselves into believing they chose this path. Now pair this with Openloop Tension, a tool so powerful, it's used in both propaganda and high-level persuasion. An open loop is a question without an answer, an unresolved tension. And the human brain hates unfinished business. Drop lines like, "Remind me to tell you something wild I noticed about you later." It's unsettling in a good way. Then change the subject. That's it. You've just created a loop in her subconscious, and it won't close until you decide to resolve it. The longer you leave it open, the more space you take up in her thoughts. She might not even realize why she keeps thinking about you, but it's that loop still spinning in the back of her mind. Another psychological lever you need to start using is future projection, not fantasy talk, not "what would our kids look like?" Nonsense. This is more refined, more surgical. You don't talk about a shared future. You talk about her future, but with you already in it, in a way that feels natural, inevitable. You're probably the type who'd run off to Bali for a few months, chase a creative obsession, and forget the world exists. The question is, Would you let someone come with you, or would you just disappear solo? What you've done is paint a high-definition vision of her ideal self and slipped yourself into the frame. No pressure, no request, just a suggestion. That's how you bypass resistance. You're not asking for inclusion, you're planning it. And if you've been triggering her emotional systems correctly, her subconscious will start filling in the blanks with you at the center. Let's go darker. Have you heard of tension withdrawal? It's like emotional starvation, but controlled, and it makes people addicted. Here's the psychology. When someone experiences pleasure followed by sudden absence, the brain doesn't just miss the feeling, it obsesses over it. It panics. It starts seeking out the source, you, even if logically it doesn't make sense. You create this effect by controlling your availability, not with cheap playing hard to get tactics, but with strategic emotional presence. Give a high, withdraw. Let's say you give her a moment of deep eye contact. You lean in close, you say something raw, something vulnerable. Then, abruptly, you change the energy. You look at your phone, you say you need to leave. You become neutral. It feels like emotional whiplash. But her brain doesn't blame you. It blames the moment. It blames herself. Now, she's trying to earn that moment back. And just like that, you've made her crave your validation. This technique is often seen in intermittent reinforcement cycles, used in casinos, used in toxic relationships, used in elite-level psychological manipulation. It's addictive because it's unpredictable, and the human mind is wired to chase unpredictable rewards harder than stable ones. Want to know who else uses this? Interrogators, marketers, powerful women, and now, you. But here's the twist. You don't do this from a place of insecurity or game playing. You do it from emotional composure. You control the rhythm, the pace, the energy. You are the conductor. And she? She starts dancing to music she can't hear, but can't stop moving to. Now let's pivot into something so underused it's practically a cheat code. Controlled emotional contradictions. Most people try to appear consistent, polished, predictable. But when you deliver contradictory emotional signals, you create an emotional maze she subconsciously tries to solve. Say something like, "You intimidate me, but I also kind of want to ruin you," in the nicest way possible. Boom. Contradiction. Polarity. Now she's trying to make sense of it, trying to decode you. And the more she analyzes, the deeper she falls into the mental loop. You become unsolvable. And unsolvable is unforgettable. This is what psychologists call cognitive tension. And it's powerful. It's not confusion. It's curiosity weaponized. And in attraction, curiosity beats beauty. Every time. She may forget your compliments, but she won't forget that feeling of not being able to figure you out. And that's what keeps her coming back. We're still not done. Let's finish what we started. By now you've already seen how subtle moves, when rooted in psychology, can bypass logic and speak directly to her emotional core. But there's still one final level. The level where you no longer influence her thoughts. You become embedded in them. Not as a memory, as a feeling she can't explain. This is where we bring in emotional isolation. This doesn't mean you cut her off from the world. It means you create a psychological environment where only you provide the specific cocktail of feelings she desires. She can laugh with her friends, she can flirt with other men. But that feeling of depth, edge, mystery, security, unpredictability, all wrapped in one, only comes from you. You do this by identifying what emotion she doesn't usually allow herself to feel, and then giving her permission to experience it. Some women are always in control. Let her feel surrender. Some are always adored. Give her challenge. Some are always doubted. Give her raw admiration, but only in slivers. When you become the exclusive supplier of that emotional frequency, she becomes psychologically dependent. Not because she's weak, but because the human brain seeks balance. And you've become her balance point. Now we move into sensory anchoring. This is high level. It's not just about what you say, it's about what you do when she's feeling something powerful. Let's say you touch her wrist only when she laughs hard, or you lower your voice only when she's feeling nervous. Do it enough times, and the physical stimulus becomes neurologically linked to the emotional state. Later, even without context, that same tone of voice or that same type of touch will trigger the feeling automatically, and she'll associate that state with you. That's anchor implantation, used in hypnosis, behavioral training, even intelligence operations. And finally, psychological echoing. This is when you begin subtly repeating things she said in different words, mirroring her values back to her, but framed through your identity. Let's say she tells you she hates fake people. Later you say, "I don't care for people who perform. I need real energy or nothing." She hears herself in your words. That creates resonance. It makes her feel seen, understood, and most importantly, connected. The more you echo the right elements back to her, the more she starts feeling like you just get her. That belief is magnetic. People don't fall for others because of perfection. They fall for those who reflect back the parts they're secretly proud of or deeply ashamed of. And if you can hold both, you become unforgettable. Now, so you've just walked through a full system most men will never even imagine, much less master. You now understand frame control, emotional anchoring, narrative hijacking, tension withdrawal, future projection, sensory imprinting, and more. This isn't about tricks. This is about understanding human nature so deeply, you can lead with calm precision while others stumble around with empty tactics. But here's the thing. I don't want this knowledge to stop with you. If this video opened your eyes, if it gave you new tools, new awareness, or lit that spark inside your mind, then don't keep it to yourself. Drop a comment below. Let me know what part hit the hardest. Tell me if you've seen these tactics used on you, or if you've unknowingly used some of them before. Hit that like button if you want more raw, unfiltered content like this. And if you're not already part of this movement, subscribe now. Because every week I'll be breaking down deeper psychological frameworks to make you not just more attractive, but more aware, more strategic, and more dangerous in the best way possible. And here's the mission. Let's get this content in front of men who are done playing by the old rules. Share this with someone who's ready to upgrade his mindset. Let's build a community that's smart, sharp, and impossible to ignore. Because in a world where everyone's talking, the ones who understand psychology run the game, and now, you're one of them.